Hey guys, it's Will here with another rules blunder video. Don't know if this is going to be the first or second or whatever, but we got a very special one today. This one I've been waiting for a while to check out, and it did not disappoint. I flipped through it before just to kind of see where this is, and I may have done a video for this before or tried to and scrapped it. I'm not too sure, but I want to try doing it again. So please forgive me on that. If I did already do a video on this, or you've seen something with it, or I talked about it on a stream, feel free to pass by. That's no problem. There's other rule blunder videos you can check out or other reviews in games. But with that, I'm going to get right into this because I got one more thing to review and I'm super excited for that, and the camera's getting warm. But you think we would, at this point in humanity's future, have ways to make cameras not run super hot, but here we are. But the piece resistance. This is made in response to a book that was written by a comic artist writer out there, and it's based off, think, a darker version of the D&D animated series way back in the day, or if you haven't seen it, which I highly recommend watching it because the characters was in the D&D movie that came out last year. It is like a dark Jumanji of D&D, but it is called Die, like D-I-E, like the dice, like a singular dice. And hi baby, I know you're there. Hello. Anyways, so this is made by that guy, and it is, I will give a warning here. I don't know if you'll see it or not. So this is a adult book. It's not like adult quote unquote, but there is those sort of themes in here. The book that it was based off of is, and it does deal with some very serious topics. So this is kind of like a potential trigger warning for anyone who's dealt with past traumas or dealing with themselves, you know, things like that. You know, the things you go through in life that may not be the best that you want to actually deal with. Can't quite word it right, but this is a warning for that. So this is kiddies who are watching this. I know you're gonna watch things anyways, but this is a warning. This is not going to be for you. This is on both the rules. I'd say it's a Pathfinder level. It's about a Pathfinder 2nd edition level of rules, a little bit about on par with it, but for and like running those rules. But the role playing aspect and the heaviness of this book is definitely one of the hardest ones. I'd say it's definitely up there with whatever. I'll have the list up, but it's up there with the harder ones. So, and again, you don't have to make it that way. You can definitely make this more lighthearted, but this is definitely a game designed around dealing with personal issues and role playing a campaign with a constant party. But I've talked long enough. If you think this is something you're going to be into, if you played Call of Cthulhu, you know, those horror games like Vampire the Masquerade, but you wanted something that's less problematic, or you wanted something a little bit more advanced with a party you can guarantee to be with every night, something like that. Maybe you live with them, like your roommates and stuff. This is the book I'd recommend. This is the special edition of it. There's going to be a normal version later on, but this was the one that came out earlier. Hopefully you guys enjoy the cat walking in and out. She is freaking out because no one's home. So yeah. But anyways, starting with it, we have the Die RPG. So it comes in this really nice, I don't know what you'd call it. It almost feels like a cloth sort of premium material, but it's got a nice metallic inlay here so it shines. It's got the dice symbols on the side here. Let me focus that. It's got the dice symbols here on the side. Nothing on the back. You might see a bit of like white powdery stuff on it. It just came like that on my version. So I guess it's just some dust and dirt from the people packing and the printers back when it was coming out. But anyways, this is just the sleeve. And then when you open it, you have this nice inlaid, or whatever you want, textured cover, as you kind of see like the facings like a D20, and it says the writers, creators of it, so the Die RPG, and the side here's your creators of it, and a little blurb on the back about it. And again, just like the Tales of Zadia book I reviewed, There's online resources from this that you can go and grab, character sheets, pre-mades, DM resources. If this book is interesting to you and you want to pick it up, I highly recommend checking out those source material. It's free for everyone. You don't have to necessarily buy the book to see them. Check it out, see if it interests you. It's really cool page layout. I'd say this is more akin to how it looks, how it feels. The diplomacy-esque of it, the role-playing heavier side of it is more like Iron Claw or Vampire or the World of Darkness games, without being super, problematic like we've all heard from the horror stories. But anywho, let us get right into this. So for those who have not read the book, you don't have to worry about reading and knowing the comic series to pick up what this is putting down, because it starts with a brand new story that's after the original comic, and a little bit of notes from that. But this kind of explains the story. So kind of how it starts, really good. And this is kind of like your warning. So again, this game kind of uses a dice system. So how this works is, and you can kind of change the names, these are kind of just whatever. So it has these different classes here, and each class is assigned a specific dice, kind of like hit dice. So your like Emotion Knight is like your D12, your Dictator, which is kind of like your Bard, is a D8, your Fool is like a D6, your Godbinder, your Cleric Paladin is another, so on and so forth. And so yeah, so it's kind of like the base rules there. Here we have your sort of like base intro to the setting, your setting. Sorry about the glare and stuff. It's kind of like talking about the world in Die. Then you have your, just freaking slam my book into the tripod. Then you're kind of like intro from the creators. Kind of like that. Then you have your sort of like little thing, what you can do on it. You have this cool little chart here on the side to explain kind of like your distancing, so you can kind of imagine it. This game is designed to be used pen and paper, so like theater of the imagination. You have your attack dice, how to do your abilities and your actions. And then you have basically your classes. So this game does something unique that no other game I've played has ever done. And that is a dual, basically the closest thing to it is like the old Battletech or Lancer RPGs. But what makes this such a psychological thriller of an RPG is that you make two characters, but one character is you, and then the other one is your in-game you. So you make a character based on our world. So a human, you or whatever, it could be you, or it could be somebody else that maybe you want to aspire as. And then you make a character in the game, in the Die universe, as that human that you created. So your persona creates a OC, and those have two sort of classes that combine to make your character, which is this stuff. And they don't necessarily have to be, same gender or same idea as you or same ideas in game. Like maybe you make a person who is a jerk, a human who's kind of like a gambling addict or a jerk in real life, dealing with issues personally. But in the world, because in the Die universe, when you got sucked in, because you were in this other universe, your worries kind of slipped away and you got lost in the Die sauce, and you became this really nice, carefree, generous, give your wealth away sort of character to people and kind of help them out. But then when you get back to the world, you may change a bit. Maybe your life views change, or maybe you have already returned and this is you reliving that past and stuff like that. And you can get cool things, or maybe like the main character in the official comic, where he was, you know, your run-the-mill sort of like jerkish-esque, you know, teenager in the 90s, whatever, your teenager in the 80s, ripped jeans and all that stuff, dealing with personal things that they couldn't talk about back in there. And but in the Die universe, he's this hot, attractive bard character who basically runs the continent and is so feared that when they travel, they literally like belt their mouth shut. Like the group belts their mouth shut because they're so powerful. And they even had a kid as this female character in the Die world. So you can do cool things like that, and it's really in-depth and really RPG, like role-playing heavy in this game. And there's two sort of ways to make your characters. There's the campaign versions where they're a little bit more advanced. You play them over time, they grow and stuff. And that's more for like, again, like it's the truest way, I think, of playing this game. And you level up a little bit more differently than you do, say, the other version, which is a traditional way where maybe you're in and out, some people might be missing, or maybe you just want to play it as a RPG, like in that world, and you want it to still be kind of like that World of Darkness-esque feel, but you don't want it to be as heavy. And you can play it as the basically the other version. So here we have our first kind of look. This is the Neo. This is how they do their class stuff. So how you advance in the campaign mode. Again, like I said, there's two different. So here's kind of like your dice. It's literally just the dice that you use for this class laid out. So you kind of like go, you start here and you go like, say you get your new gift. And then you can go this way or you can go this way. You start basically filling in this dice to make your class. And again, here it tells you like at levels, you get these things. So add a point to any of these stats. And then you have your kind of like explaining what your advancement map is, advancing a level, playing in a world without 20 regions, you know. Because there is the D20, but the D20 is the Dungeon Master's dice. So the Dungeon Master gets the D20. And of course, kind of gives examples how you do it, how you can't do it, some art. And then here's your sort of so that's the Neo. Again, you have your Dictator, which is your Bard, and they get this emotion wheel. So again, depending on your sort of like how your character's background, your thought, you kind of get this chart that you choose as your sort of subclass, how your character is going to play, and depending on like its performance and stuff, is how you get it. And then of course their level up chart. Then you have your more stuff. There you go. There's like the main character from the comic as the Dictator. Then you get, next we have the sort of like the Fool, which is also your Rogue, and they're a D6. They have their different trades here. So are you a sort of like swashbuckler, trickster, rogue, you know, sort of stuff like that? Are you a rogue, con artist? And here's your die chart. So kind of everyone uses the D20 as their level up chart. Your things, and of course, again, like I said, this is reading this is going to take a little bit of comprehension. That's why I say it's kind of on like that Pathfinder level, is because this game is literally made by two D&D fans, like role-playing, I'll just say D&D because everyone knows D&D, but like role-playing fans. And you can clearly tell these dudes were just making it, dudettes were making it with each other just for fun. And if you're not a fan of rule books that leads into it being, you know, a game or somebody or something in the world telling you how these things work, like a role play explanation of a game, this might not be for you to read, but I would definitely say it's for you to play. And it is really great. This is definitely a game I wouldn't play at a RPG night with randos, but something I would play with my friends. And then of course we've got the emotion night, which is your paladin or your death knight. Basically you choose an emotion just like the dictator, and that changes your kind of like your alignment and stuff like that. And this is a really great roleplay heavy class if you want to. He was one of my favorite characters from the comics was this guy. And again, got that. You got all that. Then you have your Godbinder, which is your cleric. The whole purpose, well, this is the Neo. Neo is your artificer, so if you like guns and robots and stuff. But on the other hand, you basically sell your soul for fairy gold or whatever it's called, but basically dragon gold to fuel, basically redstone. You get redstone to fuel your creations in your body, but you replace with augmentations and you're like basically a shadow runner. But if you run out of your redstone crack, you can't keep going. And it's kind of like Gothy from Fool's Gold. In that, actually, yeah, it's just Gothy from Fool's Gold, but darker. And then the Godbinder is basically your cleric, but you talk to the different gods of the world, and by doing favors for them and asking for favors from them, they'll do things for you. And you can break oaths, you can get them pissed off at you. This is basically a lot of you talking to the DM, and it's can be over time, can definitely be very heavy-hearted to play this class, or can be very I think one of the most fulfilling classes in the game if you want to be if you're a theater kid at heart. If you want to practice that role playing or you love role playing, it'd be a lot of fun. And yeah, so you got these and you got your different gods. You can name them whatever you want. Blanks, no one really knows. And then you have the advancement chart and the master, and this is the DM. So the DM themselves gets a class, or because again, remember, everybody makes a character, a person who they want to be in their class. Or if say you want to be a DM who's, you know, just the DM, and you want to be there to be a referee for your friends role playing together, somebody could be the master and be a DM who's maybe rescued, or you're coming to rescue them because you escaped the first time. But this class is definitely, I'd say, like back in the day when they introduced the Death Knight in World of Warcraft, where you had to reach level 40 with a character before you can use this, because it was a epic class, or like, you know, heroic class. It was supposed to be special, like only one per server or one per account that you can have. The master is basically that. The master is an advanced class for somebody who's played the game for a bit, or maybe somebody who's always a DM, but they don't, you know, they never get a play, so they get a play for the first time, and this is basically their DM NPC. So that's what this is what this class is. And you can see that it's that class because you only have 2 pages. You don't have a advancement chart. And of course we have your rituals. This is basically how you start the game, is gather your things you need to play, determine like your tone, like what the hell the game's gonna be, generate your human, taking a break, then creating your character. So it's 2 character creations. And then, so basically this is like a checklist for your session 1/0. This is a game where you definitely want that session 0, all that stuff, and kind of like end game and stuff. So kind of like that. So the idea is you're supposed to play 1 or 2, in this example at least, you're supposed to play 1 or 2, at least 2 sessions where you get sucked into the world. So like your session 0 is where your characters, your personas are meeting to play this game. Like you heard that somebody, like there's an RPG out there and it's a new game that everyone's playing, and you come to this person's place to play it. And so That's your session 0, and then it leads into session 1 where you're in the world of die. And then session 2, you can either choose to leave or you can stay, and stuff like that. So it's kind of got a cool little thing like that going for it. And then things like that, more like this is for the DM, and like how to like run a game, what to do during the breaks, campaign upkeep, more stuff like that. Rules about the game world. And as you can see, like I was saying, how this is kind of written like a group of friends playing D&D. You can see this is kind of like here. So this is more like the actual rules, like it's written by a rules person, and then these are more like somebody writing it to you or telling you. And basically this like abilities, like this is a creature stat, but how they arrive. Basically this is all in one game. Basically the adventure itself, your players, what could happen, stuff like that. DM guides, and some little thing here, like there's this handout here, things like that. So yeah, so it's really interesting, and I'm super into this. Yeah, I'm super into this game. It looks cool. I'd be excited to try it. And if people choose to leave, basically, again, this is a game on itself. Supposed to be kind of like a 2-shot. Maybe pull it out to have some fun with your friends for once, like one-time thing to try it out, see if you're into these sort of RPGs. If it's not, you leave the world of die and you go back to playing D&D and stuff like that. This page is, I think, one of the most important pages in the entire rulebook. This basically tells you what it's like to play basically your persona, your human that you made. This basically tells you that, and it's really good. If you have never played a game like this before, or maybe nothing this heavy, I'd recommend checking out this page. It is 166, and yeah. And then this is for if you're wanting to make a campaign out of it. This is all sort of that. Gear and stuff, the different species and races, NPCs you can talk to, elves and things, ghouls, liches and stuff. Kind of gives you examples why you'd use them. All your sort of D&D characters are kind of here, creatures. And then it's just like, what if you wanted to stay in other things, how to bring back campaigns, dealing with more DM guides, DM stuff, how to play the game. Basically, all your answers for like a board game RPG like Gloomhaven is in here. It's this really cool sort of adult, without being, you know, adult, quote unquote, RPG that you can just pick up the book. You drop it down. Maybe you want to do a 2-part Halloween special or something. You just play this, or maybe if you're people dealing with going through something, you can run this with them and like another person and kind of deal with stuff. Maybe use it to, you know, as a sort of family sort of friendship or partner, sort of like getting closer with them. And here's kind of like the an example here. So as you can see here, so like here we have, this is the class. So that is this is played, so Alex the Vigilant Knight is played by Mina, and this is sort of like their quirks. Then we have Morgan, which is a Neo, being played by Stephanie. So Morgan is their character, they're a Neo, that's how they describe themselves, and that's their persona. And this is kind of like their quirks and stuff, and you know, explains who they are. And it's kind of like, that's how you make your... Did I just rip my page? Nope, we're good. That's kind of like how you make your characters in this game and all that stuff. And then of course your index You may have seen there was no character sheet in the back, and that's because again, there's those two different ways to play, and those character sheets are going to be located on their website, which I will have links down below if I remember for those, so you guys can check out the characters and things like that. With that, guys, I'm gonna go. It's been enough rambling for me on this. It's gonna be a lot of fun, I say sarcastically, to edit this video. So with that, thank you guys for checking out. We will see you in the next video. Click the video. Click it. Click the video. You know you want to.